everyone. Welcome to the most unofficial of official holidays. It is Super Bowl Sunday, everybody, as it is the latest, the greatest edition of a live version of 4th and 4. Zach Kyleman in here. As always, glad to see you guys, welcoming you all in for Super Bowl Sunday. And if you're spending part of it with us, well, we appreciate you. And if you're also joining us again as you've been throughout the season, we also appreciate you for going along with this ride with us for our second year of 4th and 4. Let's bring in the rest of the crew for today. Of course, we got the full staff in for this edition on, again, Super Bowl Sunday. It is Kelsey Coyne, DJ Stewart, and Jim Meunier all across the board. Gentlemen, hello, welcome everyone in. Hey, it's Super Bowl Sunday again. As I will state, and I will continue to state, the most unofficial official American holidays is Super Bowl Sunday, and it is finally arrived with about 7.5 hours away from kickoff. How are we feeling?
Happy Rihanna Bowl featuring Travis, Kelsey, and Donna to all those who celebrate.
Well, you know what?
I was going to say Happy Kelsey Bowl, but the Rihanna Bowl.
I was not letting your ego get that one. I worded that, but there's a reason I gave them all the first name.
You know it's a big game when China's trying to send balloons to Arizona from the north. So.
Well, we got enough of that now.
And he's gone. Anyway, bringing him back in. Shh. China balloons are for later weeks. We can't talk about that.
Look, we're trying not to get kicked off the air already.
I live in a society.
Yeah. But Super Sunday, what do you expect? The biggest game of the year, two of the best teams in the league. They've basically been the best two teams in the league from day one in the NFL. Storylines is what they call what Kelsey's saying, the Kelsey Bowl. They're just missing one other Kelsey, himself. Who cares about the other two that are playing?
To be fair, I care about the other two because if the other two could involve me, that could be some nice, either a Nike deal or maybe I could learn how to grow a beard. I don't know, something. One of the two things.
Okay.
I'm asking for favors here.
Trying.
Maybe Jason Kelsey's new baby gets named after me. It becomes Kelsey, which would be super hilarious.
Oh, that poor kid.
Oh my god.
That poor kid. Agreed.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I could agree with that as well, but that's neither here nor there.
Is this the first brother versus brother Super Bowl
Ever?
Or it is.
So the Gronkowskis never had a matchup.
Nope.
Unless you count the
Watts never had that matchup.
Nope.
That's right.
I mean, come on. Let's be honest. JJ Watt and TJ Watt matching up at any point in time.
No.
I mean, Pittsburgh and Arizona, they did match before.
Yeah,
that was.
But in
Big Ben and Kurt Warner did.
JJ was a Cardinal for how long? 2 years? 3 years?
2?
If that?
Yeah, 2. Yeah.
And where did he spend the rest of his career again? Where was that again? That black hole that is Houston.
Agreed.
So, no chance. No chance.
He tried his best. Okay, he tried his best.
He tried his best, but unfortunately.
Anywho, it is. Let's talk some of the big game of here, of course, and also let's catch up on a few news pieces while we're at it. It's been 2 weeks, by the way, so as we know, some coaching decisions have been made. I would like to at least catch up on those while we got the chance. For example, Sean Payton now has his own stint once again back in the NFL. He heads over to Denver. He's making a splash, by the way, with some comments on Russell Wilson. I think just to kick that off, next year's going to be a little bit fun, I feel. Those two might be in the news 1 or 2 times over some decisions, I got a feeling.
1, 2,
I mean,
4, 5.
24.5 times potentially. I don't know. Yeah, Russell might not even play next year, but people aren't ready for that conversation.
Peyton made a comment like, it's not Russell's team, it's Denver team. And then when I heard
none of that matters if Russell goes to jail. Let's be honest here.
Oh gosh, yeah. Let's and I mean, not talking about the freaking donations to the foundation. Was it 24 cents per dollar or something like that?
24.5 cents per dollar. As DJ said, a quarterback.
Proud
That's
of
the
that.
only quarterback in Denver last year.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
Where did it all go? And it
All
also
he's missing is a pair
just
of
like,
Wranglers, and he'll be a really good Halloween costume at this point.
Yeah.
Well, hold tight. Pause. Allegedly, we have to throw the word allegedly in there
That's
for
true.
that for the regular
I didn't say
commentary.
directly who it was. I just said he should wear some Wranglers. I didn't say who that was. Wranglers has plenty of sponsored people. Some
they?
more famous than others, but not directly. Allegedly.
Just allegedly,
We'll just throw allegedly in there just in case. We're
are
not Pat
live,
McAfee
after
level. We're not Pat McAfee level here. We can't get away with that.
No. We ain't gonna come out here and start throwing haymakers at Brett Favre and making their lawyer.
Pause.
His lawyer
Now
start
you
to
said his
sweat.
name. Now we have to say, now, okay, allegedly then. He should wear-
Allegedly throwing haymakers at Brett Favre. Although,
Allegedly throwing haymakers.
if
at
we
Brett
could get
Favre.
in a ring with him, I'm sure DJ would happily throw haymakers at Brett Favre.
Well, the Pat McAfee Brett Favre is, and that's going to end up being like a match at WrestleMania here in a couple of weeks. Saying that Pat McAfee works for the WWE.
Hey, you know what? I can't pay you, but you know what? I'll give you a chance to beat me in the ring. Come on down, Brett.
Come on
You
down.
get paid enough money to cover those potential legal fees, allegedly.
But Favre still has his stuff.
Allegedly,
Mississippi
Favre
stuff.
That draws a whole other set of questions if he has all of his stuff in his money, but we won't go,
So,
I won't go into that.
Allegedly, Favre could fundraise the ring that they that they take in
Who knows how to find it?
participation in.
He went from Hall of Famer to sending picks to what he is right now. Yeah, that's a fall from grace. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
And what was that Copper Fit that he was trying to do with him and Jerry Rice back like a couple years ago? That
And
commercial?
Bart Scott. And the most
Yeah.
random of all the sponsor nominees was Bart Scott. Yeah.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
We're off to a banger start, guys.
Anywho,
so continuing on the coaching conversation. So not only do we have Sean Payton, D'Amico Ryan's getting hired on with the Houston Texans. Something that I think, as you see, DJ, I'd also sympathize with the golf claps here. A pretty winning signing. I think a lot of people were happy to see that one. He's going over back to the team he once called home, and now gets to be the leading man over there. And already is talking some interesting coaching signs, including Cliff Kingsbury, who I thought was going to stay in Thailand for at least a year, but I guess he decided, I want to come on back home and possibly coach the next young QB prospect over for the Houston Texans.
Well, I mean, it's better than him being a head coach, so that's okay.
it's better than him having to learn the ins and outs of Call of Duty just to, head coach. So that
Are you saying that colleges everywhere are wiping their brow? Missed it.
Oh,
No.
there'll be a dumb college to pick him up.
No, there's a college out there ready to throw $19.5 million at him. Just take your pick in the SEC. There's one of them. One of them is stupid enough.
Well,
And then again, hey, Alabama could be the next one if they're gonna quote unquote fire Nick Saban the rate they're going. So yeah,
but it Kingsbury had his shine in Arizona, and now he's in Houston, be OC probably. But the thing I like about D'Amico Ryan, the ownership in Houston has finally stated that we're done with the 1 year wonders. Like, we're going to actually keep him for a while because this is his third coach in 3 years for Houston. They need some, allegedly. They need some stability in that franchise right now. They're going to have a lot of picks the next 2 years. From the I just think they're still getting some from the Miami trade a couple years ago. So I think they have like 11 picks this year in the draft. So they get a quarterback down there because it's not David Mills. It's going to either be C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young or maybe the guy from Kentucky to get in. So for Houston, it's
allegedly.
But I think the Colts like the guy from Kentucky. I don't know, allegedly. But yeah, I think it's a good hire for Houston. They need some stability. That franchise has been. I think them and Jacksonville share something like they were two bad organizations last year. Problem is Houston just continue it for another season, and Jacksonville found their guy and instantly turned around. But yeah, I like the hire. Kingsbury still a question mark though. I think he might be OC Houston the next year, like you said. He's in the SEC somewhere, Texas or Oklahoma when they join the SEC next year, or in 24. There's a lot of possibilities, but yeah, I think it's good for Houston. And I like how Houston welcomed him with the whole when you walked into the facility, everything was there, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Arizona, Kingsbury is another story. I think he's just finding a way to that college job to pop up, and if it is that letter logo and SEC, he'll jump. So yeah, that's my opinion about D'Amico Ryans. I think he's a good hire.
I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is going to be a guy that wants to be a head coach anymore. To be honest, I think he's ventured into that, and he's like, all right, well, I had fun, thanks, bye. Unless he can become a head coach in the college ranks, I think that's the only way he stays. But yeah, no, as far as D'Amico Ryans go, I think that's a fantastic hire, and it's a 6-year contract, so that is to Jim's point, hopefully some stability. Yeah, but then again, in the NFL, it's it's just like college, 3 years. 3 years, prove yourself or get out. So we'll see if it even lasts beyond the 3 years. But again, D'Amico Ryan, probably one of the better players in the history of the Houston Texans. Mm-hmm. So should get a little more leeway in that, right? But we'll have to wait and see. Like it is a wait and see game with Houston because we just don't know how stupid their front office could continue to be.
And it's not a pressure situation down in Houston either. It's not like Dallas.
Don't tell their fans that.
Well.
Hey now,
I can call Hector up and we'll talk about that real fast. They want to win and they want to win soon.
I then raised the question of, so what were the last 2 years for?
Exactly.
Yeah. But one of the hires I like this so far is Brian Flores going to Minnesota. I think that was a steal for Minnesota right there to get him for DC. Minnesota has the offensive capability. Their defense was just not giving them any chance this year on a lot of these games. The crucial games, their defense was a no-show. And I think that's a big hire or a good steal for Minnesota. If Minnesota still has the same type of offense next year and that defense improves, they could make the next step. But if no one took Minnesota as a threat this postseason because of that defense. And I think that's a good hire for the Vikings, in my opinion. That's the top hire, I think, so far for DCs. Now, there's other head coaches that got hired. But I think that's a steal for Brian Flores. And plus, the dude that got, disowned in Miami for having the same record as the current guy that down in Miami. So he deserves a shot. And I think Minnesota could be the next stage of his pecking order and could be a head coach in 2-3 years in another team in the NFL. So I like that hire.
Yeah,
and
he should be a coach now.
Yeah, he should.
He should be a head coach currently. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. For him to still be a DC is a crime. Like Brian Flores deserves to be a head coach in the NFL. He has done nothing to disprove that. Like he got disowned and blackballed by the NFL because he wanted to win and not sandbag. Oh no. How terrible to have that as a head coach.
Yeah.
It's such sorry. That's the biggest gripe I have with the NFL is Brian Flores not being a head coach right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the good news is their defense should go up from 31. So, I mean, it's only up from here. So maybe I imagine you can get them to at least 26 so they can probably win a few more games than that they lost.
Yeah.
Just get any sort of stability so they don't have to be pulling out, come from behind, or record one possession wins during next course of another season. And I think you'll be doing wonders. Flores, though, I mean, he's kind of highlighted. It's funny you bring that up because he highlights kind of besides Cliff Kingsbury, kind of a slew of high-profile coordinator positions getting signed up. I mean, Vic Fangio as well, signed to what has been an insane deal. He's like the highest-paid coordinator in the NFL now, pushing like at least this year, I think upwards $3-4 million just to go and be the DC. And we just have learned today, he has been assisting with the Eagles. At least he's going to be doing it. He's been the last 2 weeks, and it sounds like for parts of the season has been kind of consulting at times for Philadelphia. So Man's been busy, but Man's also going to be breaking the bank here, at least as a coordinator's sake. He's going to be getting some good money to go down to Miami. They are gambling a lot on fixing at least a core problem that they had last year. Well, besides, of course, the health of a certain Hawaiian quarterback.
Vic Fangio might be the ultimate case of outstanding everything except head coach, a little bit shaky. D coordinator, D assistant, probably the best linebacker coach ever, too. You saw Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman, just the guys he's worked with as far as linebackers go as well, too. He's the ultimate prototypical all-time great coordinator / assistant, but as a head coach, And I think, as you mentioned, if I'd have known he was working with the Eagles the last 2 weeks, that might have changed some things as well, too. That might change. We'll talk about that stuff later, but that's a great hire for Miami. And he gets to reunite with Bradley Chubb, Xavier Howard. Keep an eye out on Miami if a certain Hawaiian quarterback can stay healthy, or if they have a different backup plan.
Mm-hmm. That's gonna be keys. Like I said, you're absolutely right, DJ. I mean, the coordinator position he's played, he has been phenomenal at that. I mean, as a person who has had him on as my coordinator in years past, I definitely could say that was a felt loss back in 2019 because, the dude just brings a different edge at that position. He gets his guys to play, and not just like the same camaraderie, but like it's a united front. Everyone he makes sure is on the same page and understands their assignment to a T. And is absolutely one of the best D coordinators in the league, bar none. And it's crazy to think he was just a head coach a few years ago. And what's even crazier to me was that he was in the running to possibly be the D coordinator on his former team that he was head coaching if it hadn't been for some different decisions being made and maybe some money being thrown his way, of course, in Miami. But again, what would have been the odds if he would have happened to land there and you walk into that office and you have to go, "Hey guys, good to see you again. Don't mind me just double dipping on my contract."
I'll take both of those bags, please, and thank you. You'll be paying me you'll be paying me every week of the month now.
Exactly.
Dude would be raking it in. But yeah, Vic Fangio, like I said, came out this morning. Adam Schefter reporting that he's been apparently consulting with Philadelphia, and I do want to see how that affects, at least talking about the decisions on some of our picks, which should be interesting in the fourth quarter. Because when I came out before the show, that was like only a few hours before we jumped on here, and kind of shows everyone's pulling out all the stops, as you can tell. Philadelphia especially seems like they are just pulling out all the stops to try and make this a run once again.
Doing what they can.
You want to win a championship, you got to find a way to pull out all the stops.
Oh, I know.
Like this, there's no tomorrow after this.
It just felt like an extra cherry on top. Like I said, you get someone like Vic. Hey, Vic, you mind if we sign you to a 2-week deal? Get us a little more insider access, please.
Hey, it's for coaches that are assistants. You see in the college level, you see all the past head coaches, past offense coordinators that are assistants on other teams, especially like Alabama, LSU. You go, oh, where did this dude come from? Oh, he's been here for 2 years after he coached here. Same as over in Alabama, you see them all the time. All their second assistants are former head coaches and former DCs, and you wonder why they're always good. It's because you have that mindset that these guys have been there, done that, and they have a history and a resume of doing that. So if I was Philadelphia or Kansas City, if you have anybody that's an assistant or a sideline assistant that has that pedigree, you take of as much information you want for these guys to prepare yourself for a championship game. Because again, what I just said moments ago, there's no tomorrow. You lose tonight, you have 7 months of this is what we could have done. We should have done this. It's all question marks. It's only one team going to host a trophy. And then the question is the preparation over the last 2 weeks, does it show tonight, 6:30 on Fox for Super Bowl 57?
Man, you read that like it was a promo. Like you were just like hired on.
You read like we're about to get kicked off the air. That's what you read that like.
Please don't slap me. Don't slap me like a DMCA or whatever it is. On Fox.
Yeah.
Of course.
Sorry. If it was on the other channels, I would have said the other channels. But yeah. Anyways, you get my point. I think you Philadelphia, if they get a chance, I don't know what Kansas City's doing. Looking at Waffle House menus with Mike Holmgren. I don't know, but
Mike Holmgren.
It's gonna be an entertaining game, and I'm really excited for it. The question that it was brought up here in Jacksonville, one of the local radio hosts, which is one I wanted to bring to you guys, and in our listeners a comment. Like we've seen, like the Steelers, the Packers, and the Patriots get claimed dynasties because they won multiple Super Bowls within a certain amount of years. They've gone to championships, they've gone to Super Bowls, but they failed. If they win the championship today, Kansas City, will they be in the conversation or of being one of those dynasty teams like they've been like five straight AFC championship games? They're going to be like 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls. That was brought up here. I said no. You're not going to compare Kansas City to the Patriots teams because the Patriots got there and won multiple Super Bowl titles. You can't compare it to the Steelers because they've gotten there and won multiple titles, same as the Cowboys back in the past and the Niners. My question is to you guys: will they be considered in that group, or do they need at least one or two more Lombardis before they can be actually a part of that conversation?
Well, let me answer your question with a question. What about the Buffalo Bills?
Exactly. That they've been 4 straight and win it. The Vikings
but they were an AFC dominant team.
Yeah. The Vikings
and so they were one of the best franchises, and you'd say a dynasty at the time in the AFC.
Agreed, but Kansas City has something that Buffalo doesn't. That's a Super Bowl title in that stretch.
So that should then make them a dynasty, because if we're going off of Buffalo being a dynasty in the AFC, well, that makes Kansas City a dynasty in the AFC.
Especially if they have 2 of them, like if they win this one, like that, you can be a dynasty without being this. They could be different types of dynasties too. Like you could say you're not going to compare it to the Patriots 20-year dynasty, because that's fucking stupid. We're not including that right now. You can loosely compare it to the Cowboys because they got 3 and 4 years, 2 out of 5. Like it's loose. You could make your preference either way, but I think they're at least in the conversation with the non-20-year ones at this point as well. You can say Buffalo was a dynasty. The problem is the Cowboys had a better dynasty overlapping it, so you don't really think more about that one. So I think they're at least in a conversation for a dynasty, because dynasty is not unilateral. It's not has to be 3. Has to be 3 out of. There's no direct guidelines really. It's just
the Vikings were in that same position too. They won the four Super Bowls in 5 years and didn't win it.
But again, I think this is the difference between being a dynasty within your own conference versus being a dynasty within the entire league. Like I think right now the Chiefs are sitting in a position where they're a dynasty in the AFC. If they win another title, then
no argument.
But if they win another title, then you're in the conversation of NFL you're a dynasty in the NFL. Like it is. That's you keep bringing up the Vikings. The same with the Bills. Like they're dynasties within their own division, their own conferences. But like there's a level. Like to DJ's point, there's levels to this. Like you have to reach a certain unnamed threshold that just feels right to get that conversation.
Right now, they're kind of like Legion of Boom plus Andy Reid's Eagles, ironically enough, too. They're really close. They're just not quite to that dynasty step. There's in that holy crap, they're really good.
So does that another Lombardi under the Holmgren Mahomes era put them in that position?
You mean Reid, right?
Reid's not.
Yeah, we will not be taking any big red slander. So that is another demerit towards you first of all as well. We will not tolerate.
And also, we're gonna put your Patriots section aside in this conversation, because yes, it does put them in the NFL dynasty conversation. Despite, but the thing is, again, you have to kind of put that Patriots team beyond anything we've ever seen. Like that is beyond anything we've ever imagined in this sports world. Like that is just stupid. That's Celtics, Lakers, early 80s or early 70s, early 60s. Like that's that era of sports where it was just, it's stupid. But it puts them in I think without a doubt, it puts them in the conversation for one of the better dynasties in the NFL in recent years.
That was a question that was brought up here in town. And I just wanted to send it to you guys.
Usually dynasties encapsulate like a decade time frame is how they've been historically. And it's like, who would you give it to of the 2020 so far? I mean, at this point, like they've been to us, especially if they win this one, and if it goes into the back half of last year, and they're still not done yet. So I mean, maybe it's a little early to call them the team of the 2020s, but they damn sure got a good start so far.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. I think this is a perfect segue to a question of who has more of the pressure to deliver in this Super Bowl. I know obviously of course the end goal is to win, but to me, who's under the most pressure to try and get this win? I mean, here's the scenario. You've got Patrick Mahomes and company who've made it back. You know, they're looking to probably continue and capitalize on their young core, and of course their star QB, of course, trying to get the best out of his prime years. Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, something that keeps being brought to light, I think, this week is the amount of free agents coming up this season for them, and some of the looming choices they have to make. Because Jalen Hurts, it sounds like, might be getting upwards of $50 million a year,
as he should,
from the looks of it, in a QB contract. Which team needs to, in terms of trying to get this win for their sake, have the most pressure?
Yes.
Great answer. My favorite.
I think as far as pressure goes, like imposed pressure on you from everybody, I think actually Andy Reid probably has the most pressure on him to win this one, because like you look at it, you're like, okay, You got to prove yourself. You're not that Philadelphia guy again. You got to beat your old team. And doing so, you have to do it with this team that has a all-world quarterback, an all-world tight end that's, by the way, getting up in age. And you have to do it with one of your best chances at offensive line and your best defensive lines you've ever had. This is the best opportunity Andy Reid has ever had across the board skill-wise on a team to win a title. So he has the most pressure. But if you want to talk about self-imposed, like this is our best chance to win a title, then it goes to the Eagles and their conversation because of so many aging out, so many different guys being free agents next year, who's going to still be on the team. I think the Eagles players as a whole then kind of follow in that category where like it's more self-imposed because it's like this is our best chance. Like this is our best chance to win one if we've never won one, or for like guys like Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, Jake Elliott, this is their chance to win two instead of just one. So kind of cement themselves in that history of, hey, I got 2 titles conversation.
I think for the outside looking into, you look at the Eagles, it feels like they're set up for a while too, because you look at guys like Nakobe Dean and Jordan Davis who are going to step into those spots when those guys leave in free agency anyway. They feel loaded, but as you know, that just because you get there once doesn't mean you'll get there again. The Legion of Boom Seahawks, a fantastic 24-month window, and then they're gone. So I think that's one thing they want to try and avoid as well too. So I'd agree for the Eagles, there might be a little bit more self-imposed pressure as well too. Just like we don't know if we'll get back here. Where Kansas City, it's practically an invitational at this point.
Yeah.
I think
seems like.
Oh, good. Zach.
I was just gonna say because it seems like no matter what Kansas City does, they're able to retool what and whenever they need. Remember all that conversation about Tyreek Hill leaving? Are we talking about that anymore? I don't think so.
Yeah, because we keep saying, well, they sure don't miss him.
Exactly. That's a good front office and a good coaching staff that knows how to play to its strengths.
And a really good offensive coordinator who should be a head coach or something.
I was about to say that's a really good offensive coordinator, and that's also a really adaptable quarterback to go from screw it, Tyreek's down there somewhere to a whole team full of guys that only run 10-yard routes, and then Kadarius Toney, who runs 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage to get his ball.
Speaking of coordinators of pedigree, too, Steve Spagnuolo, defense coordinator, multiple-time
Super
Bowl champion, former multiple-time head coach, too. So how they manage to keep their coaches is beyond me. Kansas City's been the mini dynasty, and they've never lost a damn coach, it feels like. Meanwhile, the Eagles are about to lose both coordinators and some other stuff, too.
Hasn't this been the story of Kansas City's coaching staff for years, though? Because, I can go back to, Dennis Green era. And not Dennis Green. Yeah, Dennis Green. No.
Well, they did occasionally lose the Matt Nagy's and when Doug Peterson was and stuff like that. But I'm talking about just the last 5 years. Nobody's leaving when they've been on this 5-year run, it feels like.
But I mean, they've really done a good job historically of keeping their OC, DC, and head coach. They'll usually use a position, like you mentioned, Doug Peterson, a position coach at the time, or Matt Nagy, a position coach at the time, but not a OC, DC type of situation where they've somehow done a good job of keeping those guys for historically most of their franchise history, and it's kind of weird. That's probably one of the weird anomalies for coaching staffs, and as if you go across the board. I mean, obviously you have Bill Belichick, who's he's the king, but then everybody else on that staff, he's I can interchange you, I don't care. So yeah, it's kind of wild.
If we go from Zach's perspective, it's Matt Nagy getting hired as an offensive coordinator from there ruined it for everybody else too. Now everyone's nope, don't touch those guys, don't touch them. It's not going to work.
Trying to ignore that when I see him on screen, I just kind of try and phase that out.
Look away.
I think we all try to forget Matt Nagy as anything. Just try to forget those crazy guys.
All I see when he crosses my screen, if he's on a camera shot, is just a blurred image. I'm like, who is that? It doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah, he's the guy who lets Bill Mack carry us in 2018.
Next time you think of Matt Nagy, think of Columbus Destroyers, Arena Football, Matt Nagy. Don't think about Matt Nagy who ruined your beloved Bear.
That's okay. I still have 2018 until that wild card game. That's all.
Positive
that's
thoughts,
all
my
matters
friend.
to me.
Positive thoughts.
Positive thoughts.
Yeah.
Positive thoughts. Well, I hopefully we'll be feeling a little bit more positive thoughts in our next segment as we're going to talk about some cash. Let's get into some things. Let's get into the moolah, the cheddar, the big cheese, if you will. It's quarter number 2. Get some betting odds presented by Outlier. DJ, of course, leads this quarter as always. Take it away, my friend. What are we doing for this week?
Thank you very much, Zach. So Super Bowl Sunday, which means we got to have some super bets, but we don't have a lot of games to pick from as we only have one. So we're going to keep it simple. We're going to keep it quick. We're going to keep it fun, and we're going to keep it rich, hopefully, as well. We're each going to put together a 3-leg parlay from this one, see what we would like to spend a little bit of money on, see if we can get a big return, as well as maybe one separate prop bet that sticks out that you won't stick in a parlay, but you might throw something down just for fun. And you know what, Kelsey? We're going to start with you because you always have some very fun options here, Kelsey. Give us your parlay and a random prop bet that sticks out that you like.
All right, so I'm going to start with my parlay. My parlay is pretty simple here. It's not going to be too much craziness. I'm going to go Travis Kelce, 40-plus yards, so it's an alternate receiving yards conversation. But I feel like it's pretty simple. Like,
I'm just going to check that for you now.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes, 225 yards receiving, pretty simple as well. And Jalen Hurts, 200 yards, or sorry, not receiving, passing for Patty. And Jalen Hurts, 200 yards passing as well. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. These guys are probably going to hit these. But you know what? That's the whole point of these parlays in the Super Bowl is because you want to make some money back because you're going to make some stupid bets, which is, this is where the stupid bets come into play. So there is an alternate bet here that you can actually pick a final score perfect. It's kind of similar to squares where you can actually pick the last score, like the last digit of each score. Ooh. So I'm picking an 8 for the Eagles and a 4 for the Chiefs here in this one. And it is a plus 5,000 odd special prop bet. So guys, if you don't know that, put like $10 on that, you can win back $250. So it's a pretty nice little combination here. And it is, to say the least, or sorry, plus 2,500. So that's how you get the $250 on a $10 bet. So that's where I'm sticking my little special prop bet at is there. It's a shot in the dark, but if any quarter finishes with the score at the time being the Eagles finishing with an 8 in their score and the Chiefs with a 4, I win that money. So can't wait for that one. That's pretty fun.
So if it ends with an 8 and a 5, you're going to be livid is what I'm hearing basically.
Oh, 100%. Something's going through a TV at that point in time.
Or a 5 and a 6, or it just finds a way to let you down closely. So that's definitely good one to keep an eye out for as well, too. Especially I got to feel it might be similar to last year. So maybe a 0 and a 4 or something like that, 0 and a 3. And there's some
every number is an option out there. So there are tons of options and tons of some of them are even close to like 150,000 odds. So
gonna go take a nice deposit out and bet on every single one of those because one is bound to hit somehow as well too. Put $1 into each one. So Jim, we're gonna go to you next. Where are we throwing the money and what kind of prop bet are we looking for?
My parlay for this is sporadic around the teams. I got Jalen Hurts passing touchdowns, passing yards over 240. AJ Brown, longest reception 26.5 yards. I have an over, and I got Patrick Mahomes rushing attempts 4.5. $10 bet wins you roughly about $89 on that parlay. And my third outrageous bet, Kelsey kind of almost did mine, but I decided to do it randomly because I had 2 of them. Finals points scored for the Philadelphia Eagles at plus 2,200, 38 for the Eagles. Those are my outrageous pick. $10 bet. Again, they'll give you around $80. So 160, $200 you can win on my parlays this week. Nothing bad, too crazy. I'm not betting this week because I lost so bad 2 weeks ago. So don't listen to me, but that's what I'm going to do if I would have bet today.
Don't have to tell me twice. But anyway, now we're going to move on over to Zach now. Zach, how are we looking to spend and what kind of kicking bets are we going to break out for this week?
Oh, man. I'm going to have to – I'll save that one for you for sure. But I'm going to go with right now – give you my slip – with plus 1550 odds right now on my slip. So we got an over under of 51.5. I'm taking the over on that. I'm also going to do this for the players' stats. 3 TDs from Patrick Mahomes, which, as you'll see with my score reveal later, that will mean that all 3 of the touchdowns for Kansas City are going to be coming through Patrick. Please deliver today. As well, I'm going to be going with this halftime end of game results. So the Chiefs will lead at half, but the Eagles, and I'm going to spoil this because I picked this prop, will be the final ones ending it in the lead. So spoiler alert, but I'll explain later. I had to do it because I like the choice that I was doing with BetMGM to get me to that 1550 bet as well. As for the kicking bets, well, I had to end with one. So I actually am going to go with really, to me, either one of these I wouldn't mind doing. Plus 210. It's a bet for how many field goals would the Philadelphia Eagles you can also do this for Kansas City Chiefs, by the way. Score in the first quarter. Very, very specific bet here. It's over under half. So you just need one kick to land. You get plus 210 odds for either one of those. I'm going to be bullish and say that I don't think it'd be too bad if you picked either or. But just to keep consistent with my slip, of course, I'm going to lean with Kansas City. So I'm going to go with Buckner here, if you're going to go with that for the one field goal to help with, of course, my overall stuff. We'll make it a big old slip. That should be pushing, at the end of the day, plus 1760. If I were to add the parlay in, I land all that stuff. The parlay by itself, by the way, for $10, you get 165 back. So keep that in mind. That's just for the 3-leg. But anything else you add with the kicking bet, I mean, hey, could get a little extra cheddar. I don't know. Very specific bet. Screw it. I'm going to go with it. Take it. They'll get one. They'll get one. I know they'll get one.
That's kind of how sports betting can be. Sometimes is literally that. Screw it. I got to get one. So sometimes you just got to go forward there as well. Next we're going to do is we're going to jump right into DJ's best bet parlay. And of course, DJ's best bet brought to you, of course, by our good friends over at Outlier. Super Bowl Sunday means we get a super parlay here. So we're going to throw out a 5-piece for you, starting with Patrick Mahomes over 275 plus passing yards. As long as he plays the whole game, that seems pretty much locked in at this point, whether it's a close game or they're behind and he's going to have to go bombs away. Miles Sanders, 50-plus rushing yards. He might get that in like 2 carries. He's very capable of getting loose at any time, and I think if the Eagles are going to want to keep this ball on the ground, so give me 50-plus yards for Miles Sanders. Isaiah Pacheco, 40-plus yards rushing. The kind of been the hammer as far as the running backs go for the Chiefs. I expect him to get 8, 9, 10 carries, 4 yards a carry should be able to get you that. Jerick McKinnon returns into form as he had at the back half of the season with an anytime touchdown. I think in the red zone, he finds a way to get loose on some type of option route. And A.J. Brown, anytime touchdown as well. Bit of a quiet postseason for him. Look for him to, once he gets the ball in his hands, maybe in the red zone, turn into a raging bull and break a bunch of tackles and force his way across pay dirt as well, too. Plus 21,990 odds, so you bet 10, you win 229 as well. And none of them feels fully outrageous this time. Something that could happen. Question is, will all of them go through? That is what the unfortunate part about sports betting. And a couple of random fun prop bets. The one that I like that you could bet on, Miles Sanders score the first touchdown for the Eagles, and Travis Kelce score the first touchdown for the Chiefs. Plus 1,800 odds, so you bet one, you win 19. And one that's not going to happen, but I bet on it anyway because it's so much fun. Both Jason Kelce and Travis Kelce score 1 touchdown each.
What?
So whether it's fumble recovery, a random fullback dive, a QB center sneak, or just some random tough
annexation of Puerto Rico, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my
anything.
God, yes.
Somehow Jason Kelce lines up at tight end, whatever they got to do, or line him up at quarterback for a sneak. Jason Kelce finds his way across the end zone, same with Travis Kelce, plus $20,000 odds. So bet $1, win yourself $201 for the most ridiculous bet of them all. So there's a couple that I like there as well too. And of course, there's some boosted ones such as like Travis Kelce at 25 plus receiving yards in each half at plus 150. So like there's quite a few easy ones there if you go and take a look at it. And the last one I'll throw in there, it's Super Bowl Sunday, so we got a bunch of super options. There will be a scoregami, a unique score in NFL history with 2 very unique teams.
Nope.
I know you don't want that because you have a betting interest otherwise, but
Okay.
plus 1,800 odds, I don't mind betting $1 to possibly win 20.
The craziest thing is that bet is for all NFL games, not just Super Bowl's final scores. So in the history of the NFL and all the final scores we've had in the NFL, this has to be a unique score to that. Never happened before. There's no way. There's no way a scoregami happens. I have thought about this bet for far too long this last week. There's no way that's a possibility.
Obviously, don't bet the house, but and bet responsibly as well. But if you want to throw a couple dollars in with a nice, hey, it's the first time you've had 2 black quarterbacks go head to head in the Super Bowl, and the first time we've had 2 brothers go ahead. It's a Super Bowl of firsts. There, you never know. You never know.
All the stars are aligning, Kelsey. Don't deny it. Don't deny
I can't do
it,
dude. You know what? If I'm going to put my money on a bet like that, like it's going to be Jerick McKinnon 2 receiving touchdowns, which by the way is sitting at plus 3,800 odds. I just wanted to throw that one out there. Or like Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts to have either Patrick or Jalen to have 500 plus passing yards, which is at like plus 6,000 odds. Like I'd rather do that than a scoregami.
I mean that one. If you look at that'd be a record breaker. It's to break the Super Bowl record at plus 500 yards. Another thing that's on. You never know. I'm just saying if you want to bet $1,
I don't believe in the unique option of a touchdown. Like there's just so many limited finite options of scores in the 30s and 20s that you can get, and I feel like they've all been reached.
Everybody tune into High Low Sports next Wednesday, especially if it is a scoregami, because DJ will taking a victory lap on a bet that he said don't bet the house on, maybe bet $1, but Kelsey wouldn't even be willing to donate $1 to the cause.
You should also
I've donated plenty of dollars to the cause. Thank you very much.
I've donated
also tune in next week
to this cause.
You should tune in next week because breaking news, Shane Steichen is going to be announced, apparently according to Adam Schefter, as the next Indianapolis Colts head coach after the Super Bowl. So, that just came across the wire while we were live. So, congrats to him. He's got a nice job lined up for himself right after this, no matter what the cost. What thoughts,
like
DJ?
Jonathan Gannon might be going to Arizona too. So good job, Colts. You didn't screw it up. You actually picked one of the two good options left. Well, one of the three good options. So good for them. And the nice history of Colts and Eagles swapping coordinators continues at this point, starting with Frank Reich, then Nick Sirianni. Now it's just going to keep going back and forth. So at least they keep traditions alive. I
trade you, you trade me.
This does open up a lot of possibilities for that quarterback spot, though, as well, too, because now you look at someone like Anthony Richardson, a guy who has a lot of legs as well, too. Shane Steichen can work with a Jalen Hurts, maybe even a Hendon Hooker in the second round. I think it opens up a lot of possibilities for that quarterback spot. So good hire. We won't spend too much time on it, but it's a good hire.
Yeah. So, I would say tune into High-Low Sports this coming week because they'll do a little more. I bet there's going to be a little more analysis.
Good job for not letting Jim Irsay hire Jeff Saturday again. Good job, team.
That too.
Yeah. That's the important part about this entire conversation is there's no fighting Jeff Saturdays next season.
I would have had
the
fun.
Offensive line job, a coach job.
I would have had a ton of fun this summer being an on-the-ground reporter of sorts, listening. Hey, Colts fans, tell me your disgruntled thoughts on rehiring Jeff Saturday. I'm all in.
We don't have time for that, so we're going to move into quarter three now because we're going to head right now over to quarter three where we talk about some fantasy start sits, but since we only have one game, we're going to do a nice DFS lineup. So, Jim, go ahead and lead the way for us.
Well, it's Super Bowl Sunday, and fantasy is unique. You can't do full teams this time around. How this set up for DFS this week, you get a MVP vote, 3 flex, and a defense. So here is how I did mine this week with Jalen Hurts as the MVP, A.J. Brown, Isaiah Pacheco, Dallas Goedert as my flex, and the Philadelphia Eagles as the defense to start. $60,000 your cap. Kind of, try and move it around. Jason Kelce, Patrick Mahomes. Not Jason. Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes are very expensive. They're both at $17,000, but a lot of receivers, if you want to get a big star receiver, you had to, find role players on both teams. So to start it off with this, I'm going to start with the Kelce as his Kelce Bowl here at Super Bowl 57. Kelce, and you're in this type of DFS, do you want to go big time, big players, or spread it out? Or in this case, how I did it, elite quarterback, Jalen Hurts is that, but of some of his side weapons, A.J. Brown and Goddard. Who would you go with this situation to fit in, especially with such a small gap in the salary cap?
Yeah, you look at it, and I don't mind what you have. Let's be honest. I don't mind here how you have this built because of how much Travis Kelce and Patty do cost. I do like the idea if you go with Jalen Hurts, go with two of his bigger weapons here. My alternative, I think I maybe replace Isaiah Pacheco with Jerick McKinnon because he is cheaper on the board there. And then when you do that, you do free up a little bit more cash that potentially I look at maybe switching A.J. Brown for Travis Kelce. I like the Dallas Goedert. I'm going to keep Dallas Goedert in there at all times because I do think he's a weapon in the red zone when they decide not to run Jalen Hurts in the middle. So I think to kind of catch more of the Chiefs' yardage and potential touchdowns, I'm going to get a Travis Kelce in there somehow. So to do that, you'd really have to get Jerick McKinnon instead of Isaiah Pacheco, or maybe even go Kenneth Gainwell there, who is still a plus side because of his touchdowns, but he's going to be cheaper than Isaiah Pacheco at the end of the day. So it is a tough option, but I do like what you have to begin with. But if I were to change anything, it's probably get Travis Kelce in there somewhere, which is just kind of sliding around Isaiah Pacheco and who you choose is that kind of flex running back situation. But that's probably the only difference I choose there.
DJ, my friend.
You know what? I like yours a lot. My only concern is obviously Patrick is the expensive quarterback. My only concern with sometimes when the Eagles, when they get going, Jalen Hurts doesn't put up a lot of fantasy points. So we saw in the playoff game. So let's say they jump on the Chiefs out of the get-go, like up 10-0. They're going to run the air out of that ball, I imagine, as well. Especially they banged up Jalen Hurts. So that's my only concern is maybe you almost have to sacrifice to take the Patrick Mahomes money in this one just because there are those small concerns. But AJ Brown, Dallas Goedert, I like both those picks a lot. I mean, Dallas Goedert, Travis Kelce, I think they're both set in good position to score today. So I like it. That's the only thing is if it's possible, I'd probably find a way to squeeze in Patrick over Jalen in this case, or Chad Henne if you're feeling ballsy. But I just that's my only concern is sometimes Jalen Hurts, when the Eagles win and sometimes play their best ball, Jalen Hurts doesn't always get the big fantasy numbers because they're a well-oiled machine, not necessarily a well-oiled fantasy machine, if that makes sense. But at the same time, he can go nuclear and get you 40 points any given night. So he's very I'm just worried if it comes down to that situation, that's not a situation the Eagles will want because they will win the game better if the Jalen Hurts isn't going nuclear. But you can't. There's so few options, and the way you did it, I think it's a little more cost effective throughout. So I get it. That's just me selfish. I'm finding a way to force Patrick in there, whether I like it or I hate it.
And also, I think Kelce kind of mentioned it. If you look at the Eagles' defense, unlike Kansas City, if Eagles defense shows up, they shut down teams. They shut down the Giants, and they shut down the Niners a couple of weeks ago. So, but again, it's Patrick Mahomes, Kelce. That's no New York Giants. That's no San Francisco 49er offense showing up there. Zach, my friend, what do you think?
Oh, I really like your lineup, to be honest with you. And look, I was going to say this either way. I am fully on board as of last week, going into last week, the Pacheco train. So he might be a little bit more expensive, but I'm riding the hype, and I'm also riding the momentum of a player that is playing hot right now going into this later stage of the season and now going into the Super Bowl. So that $10,000 budget is totally worth it for him, if you ask me. If you want to play around, like I said, there are definitely some options. McKinnon's out there. It would be a bit more gamble for some receivers, but hey, maybe say the momentum of, like, say, Marquise Valdez-Scantling keeps up once more. But that's harder, of course, with Philadelphia's high-quality pass defense, something to keep in mind. I like Pacheco. I like the Goddard choice in terms of the value if you are not, say you want someone that's not going to be as expensive as a Travis Kelce, for example. And DJ's point, I think, is definitely clear in terms of Patrick Mahomes. If Jalen Hurts has a game where he has to put things on his shoulders, then you're going to get your points. But if it's going to be like, say, for example, how they played against San Francisco, and of course a well-rounded Eagles defense comes into play, and you just have to do enough to let your playmakers do their work, well, that might hurt your chances, I think. Overall, though, I think the risk of what might be put in for Jalen Hurts does get the reward, because I do like the supporting cast that you built around. Again, I'm a big Pacheco guy. I'm going to take him all day, no matter what scenario I have built around for this DFS. He's put in my lineup for sure 99 times out of 100. At least right now.
All right. Oh, we lost him.
Oh, sorry. My bad. Text message. But anyways, before we enter the fourth quarter, we know DFS, fantasy points, and we did our pick'ems. This is Super Bowl Sunday. But I want to ask this question as DFS, and we're going to do selective drink of the game. What are you guys doing?
Okay.
As in, what am I drinking for the game, or what is my selected? Well, considering I cut out alcohol right now, I'm not drinking alcohol. But if I were to be doing such debauchery, which I am known to do, it is usually a Crown and Dr. Pepper is usually the good go-to, or Jameson and Dr. Pepper, one of the two, and Dr. Pepper. Those are usually the good go-tos.
Huh.
I'm pretty simple too. I usually try to I'm averting from the alcohol at this particular moment, but I think a good whiskey soda is good, but also just a classic, like a craft type beer, just like one good sized one that can last you the whole game that you can sip on. I'm not trying to get trash and headbutt a wall or anything like that for two teams that I'm not emotionally invested in. So I like to keep it steady for the Super Bowl game. But if I had to pick, I'd probably go with a whiskey Coke, just something I could kind of sip on throughout the game.
Zach?
Yeah, Jack and Coke definitely hits the spot.
A keg.
What the?
Cake stand, let's go.
Oh my God! The only kegger in my remembrance that comes to mind from college was just me sipping down like 7 glasses of Busch Light and going, "Wow, this is water. This is
only keg in my life is around the waistband."
That's my line. Thank you very much.
No, yours is the credentials.
Stealing the jokes.
Still the same.
No, I definitely be a Jack and Coke guy if I'm going to do that. Otherwise, right now, I mean, I like my craft brews, but with brewskis for the game, I'm gonna go with a little something lighter. I usually go like Miller Lite, the crisp, refreshing, full taste light beer. And I definitely was not. I definitely was doing that because I do like that.
A promo?
Hey, you can do
Hey,
Fox
look,
promos.
hold
I
on,
can do
hold on.
Miller Brewing
One of the
Company.
two. The difference is
Milwaukee,
here. One of the
Wisconsin.
two is a potential sponsor conversation. The other one is a potential shut us down conversation.
So what I'm going to have is, unlike you gents, I already have my selection. I'm just going to go old school PBR for today.
Hey, that's not bad.
Yeah,
It's not bad at all.
Enjoy your
All right.
water.
I have a
Oh.
case in the fridge. What?
Oh.
What?
I said what I said.
Oh.
I
For
said
that-
what I said, gentlemen.
For that case, we're into this conversation. We're going with the fourth quarter for the Pick'ems for the Super Bowl 57. Kelsey, take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. It is the best time of the show, the fourth quarter, the primetime pick'ems. This time we're only picking one game, but that's okay because, well, we got a lot on the line in this one. Because last week, DJ went 2-0, I went 1-1, Zach went 1-1, and Jim pulling off a big 0-for with his PBRs there, 0-for-2, tying us up at 7-5 in the playoffs, which continues our tie from the regular season for who is going to be taking the Wonderlic test at the end of the season. And, well, it is not looking good for either one of us right now, but we both pick opposite teams, so we'll get to that in a minute. But Zach's sitting at 11-1 because of his hot start, so he doesn't care right now at this point in time. DJ 9-3. Although, Zach, if you get this week wrong and you get your pick wrong and you get your score wrong, DJ has an opportunity if he can get both right to come back and tie it up. So you never know here.
I would gladly forfeit and let him win just because the Super Bowl is the most important. So, like, if that does happen, he gets it. Period. He'll be the top dog to end the playoff run.
Look, the Colts didn't hire just Saturday. I'm winning at life right now. I'm good. So you can have this.
He's doing
I'm not in
great.
last place, and they didn't screw this up, so we're good. We're golden.
Stacking the wins. Stacking the wins, DJ.
So we did things a little different, as I just mentioned this week. We did not just our pick for the game, but we did a score because we're going to need a tiebreaker at some point in time, whether it's because of DJ or because of Zach, or because of Jim and I here at the back end of things. So here's our picks for the week. We have Zach going with the Eagles, winning 31-24. DJ going with the Chiefs, winning 28-27. I am personally going with the Eagles, 28-24, which goes back to my DK my squares pick, which is why the 8 and the 4 come into play. Jim, though, going with the Chiefs, 27-21. And gentlemen, I just want to point out, we have a very similar score set across the board here. Nobody really expecting a high-scoring game here? Is that what's going on from everybody? Is that kind of what your thoughts are, DJ?
I think both defenses are underratedly pretty good, although the problem is both offenses are nuclear, so they're going to move the ball effectively. I think in the red zone, we'll see things slow down a little bit. I think there'll be some field goals. I think my score, I'm anticipating a 2-point conversion for the Chiefs at some point, like a couple of field goals that they get a 2-point conversion to go up by like the full touchdown later. And then that just kind of helps them hold off. And the Eagles obviously will get a couple field goals. Like, the ball will move. I just think in the red zone, things get congested. Chris Jones takes up a lot of real estate. And in the red zone, there's not a lot of real estate. Same with the entire Eagles front line. So that's kind of what I anticipate is a lot of movement, but not necessarily a lot of crossing the end zone, especially. I think it's going to be a high scoring early game when they're on script, and then it's going to slow down in the red zone.
Okay. Jim, you have the lowest scoring of the group at 27-21 here with the Chiefs winning. What do you think happens there? Why? First of all, how does the Chiefs end up with 27? Second of all, how do the Eagles only score 3 times?
The Eagles will jump out early, and their defense will slow down Kansas City because of Mahomes' injury, if it's still there. But I think in the second half, Kansas City would do the comeback. I think it'd be like 14-7. Kansas City gets a random field goal somewhere in there and comes out and wins the game 27-21. Because I think it's going to be a defensive game in the second half as both teams fill each other out. But I think the Eagles, because how they have a fast striking offense, I think they get up early on Kansas City, and then Kansas City, readjusts. And as we saw the last 2 weeks ago in the AFC Championship game, Cincinnati was going head-to-head back and forth, but then Kansas City in the second half got the hang of it and started to, slowly push themselves a comfortable distance for a win. But, yeah, 6-point game, still going to be cool. I think it's going to be a crucial turnover somewhere in the third quarter, maybe a Hurts interception or a fumble in the third quarter that really turns the game around for the Chiefs to win. And just the Chiefs' experience of being at this game excels them into the victory.
Interesting. Zach, on the flip side of things, you have the highest scoring total of this one. Now you're the only one to have either one of the teams breaking the 30-point mark, with the Eagles scoring 31 here, Chiefs getting 24. So what do you think? What do you think is going to be happening here in this situation?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I actually think this is my opinion. That I think you're going to see much the case. I think defense comes out and is what is heaviest up front. That's hard for me to that's hard for someone I think to quantify, given how, to me and others, that these offenses are so explosive. But I think the first half will surprise people. It'll be a bit slower. They're going to get to feeling out each other on the offensive side of the ball. Second half is when things get shot out like a bottle rocket, and that's where I'm going to be expecting a lot of the scoring to come out, and especially into the fourth quarter. It's going to be, to me, a game of just momentum and who gets the ball last in this scenario, which is how I have Philadelphia kind of just taking a score late, maybe like 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And that's just going to come down to who can get a final drive, who can get that one final defensive stop in a game that has had its momentum and also its defensive presence shift in the second half. That's where I think Philadelphia comes in, where that defense has been, part of what has been an all-around impressive unit all year, and that the overall talent on that roster does take over for Philadelphia to finish off the Chiefs in this scenario.
All right, I like it. I actually also have a crucial turnover. Jim, you mentioned a crucial turnover in this one in the third quarter. I actually have it going the other way. I have Patty getting picked off in this one by one of those great secondary players there in Philadelphia. Because you look at it, that pass rush is going to get it's going to eventually get home. I'm sorry, that's just going to happen when you have five guys with over 8 sacks. It's not an easy situation to stop them all. But I do have it. It is going to be a close game, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that, because the Chiefs, Patty, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, they the late game schemers is what I'm gonna refer to them as, because when it comes to late game, they are as deadly as it gets. So I do have getting an opportunity here. But I do have the Eagles pulling it off because of that run game and being able to just take so much time off the clock time and time again every time you have the ball, and you don't know who's going to be the one that runs for the most impact in this game. It could be one of 4 guys. There are legitimately 4 guys that can have the most impact from that running back standpoint, or from the running standpoint in general. I shouldn't say running back, but running standpoint in general. And then you throw in Quez Watkins here on the outside. You throw in a guy like that, and a guy like Zach Pascal, who is just get to the sticks, get open, catch the ball, sit down, let the clock keep ticking. You add those guys into the weapons that Jalen Hurts has already. I feel like there's a lot to be said about this offense, not just the defense side of things, but just the offense and what they're able to do. But yeah, I think this is going to be a great game from top to bottom. As you see, we have it split. So unfortunately, I was really, really hoping there for a while. It was looking like I was going to have the Island pick this week. Then Zach had to go and ruin that for me. But it's okay. It's okay. We'll forgive him this time.
We know our glorious production team did let us get a snippet of the Island.
Yeah, exactly. We did get a little bit of Kelsey's Island to start the show here. It was fantastic. Well, I miss it. 10-8 on the season. Kelsey's Island went 10-8 on the season. So you have to give it a little bit of props there. It was pretty impressive to watch. Because Lord knows I wasn't doing most of the pickings. That was just magic anyways. But yeah, so that'll do it for us today, guys. As always, the Super Bowl is coming up. Enjoy your food, enjoy your beer, enjoy your family and friends. Hopefully you enjoy the game and don't break your TV. That's probably crucial as well if you're invested in either one of these TVs or either one of these teams. Hopefully you're invested in your TV as well. But guys, that'll do it for us this week. We might be back in the offseason to do this Wonderlic conversation, or we might save that for the first episode of next season. We'll let you know. Possibly the draft. We'll have to let you know on that one, though. But, guys, we appreciate it as always. Enjoy your Super Bowl 57, and we will see you guys next time.
Be responsible.